This boy kicked over his grandmother's clay jar, and even urinated in her shoes. After relieving himself, he threw the shoes away, leaving his grandmother with no choice but to walk barefoot up the mountain to fetch water. He even wrote insulting words about his grandmother on the wall. The reason he behaved this way was because 2 days earlier, his mother, who hadn't been home in years, suddenly returned to the countryside with 8-year-old Jack. His mother had lost her job and wanted to leave Jack temporarily at his grandmother's house until she could earn enough money to come back for him. But Jack was disgusted by the insects everywhere in his grandmother's home. He angrily urinated on his grandmother's shoes and recoiled in disgust when she tried to touch him affectionately. During dinner that evening, his grandmother served him food, but Jack threw it back and only ate the canned meat he had brought with him. After the meal, his grandmother offered him some candy she had been saving for herself, but Jack still refused to accept it. In his eyes, the way of life here was completely at odds with the city life he was familiar with. He desperately wanted to leave this place. When it was time for bed, Jack was still playing his handheld game, but his grandmother didn't rush him to sleep and just sat quietly beside him, watching. Despite her grandson's countless acts of disrespect, his grandmother silently endured everything. Though she couldn't express her inner feelings with words, she demonstrated her deep and selfless love through every small gesture. She quietly cleaned up the dust-covered room that Jack had messed up. To keep him happy, his grandmother never bothered him during her free time but would sit by the door, lost in thought. No matter how much Jack despised the situation, his grandmother would always help him when he needed it. When Jack couldn't reach the flashlight, his grandmother, despite her unsteady gait, would struggle to straighten her frail back and place the flashlight in his hands. Jack was terrified of insects and would always be startled by bugs, while his grandmother would tirelessly catch them for him. His grandmother always wore a worried expression. One day, when Jack fell asleep, his grandmother secretly played with Jack's puzzle toys. These toys were very common in the city, but his grandmother had never seen them before. She tried this way and that way, but couldn't figure out how to fit the pieces together no matter what she did. This made her find it increasingly fascinating, and a long-lost smile appeared on her face, but she was afraid Jack would wake up and blame her for it. So the humble grandmother had to put the toys back in their original place. Just when it seemed this grandmother